The Amazon, one of the richest habitats on Earth. It is not surprising that it has attracted this man's attention. Discovering animals and plants new to science is his life. And there's no better place to look than the jungles of Brazil. Who knows what he might find, what might be lurking in the dark. With a love of the wild and a special passion for primates, he's driven on in his search. Mark van Roosmalen never tires in his quest as the species hunter. Northern Brazil. Here the lush Amazonian rainforest supports untold colourful and secretive creatures. The Amazon region of South America is home to the richest primate populations on Earth, a fact that has attracted the attention of a very special man. Mark van Roosmalen is more than just a lover of monkeys. He's a primatologist, a hero for conservation and a professional species hunter. His work takes him deep into the jungle, and it's his love of monkeys in particular that draws him back time and time again to northern Brazil and the dense forest surrounding the Aripuana River. Mark has dedicated his life to finding new species and fighting to protect their environments. Now on board his houseboat, the Calibeia, Mark embarks on a new mission and wonders what secrets the forest still holds.
It all started in 1996 when somebody delivered a little monkey at my doorstep in Manaus. And I immediately saw that it was a new species of primate, that I didn't believe before that you could find new species of primate.
This little monkey, which Mark named Dwarf Marmoset in 1998 and later described as Calibeia humilis, launched a long line of new discoveries. Since then, Mark claims to have discovered more than 20 other previously unknown primates, and also a dwarf porcupine with a pink nose. Also interested in botany, Mark's research on the plants of the region are a standard text. It was Time magazine that dubbed him a hero of the planet because of his commitment to conservation work. Mark's recent work focuses on the forest surrounding the Aripuana River, an area of Brazilian rainforest the size of France. It takes a special knowledge to be able to pick out a new species from this vast sea of green. Looking for something new in this animal mecca is like looking for a needle in a biological haystack. Why is it so important to find new species? New species add considerable weight to his case to have this forest declared a sanctuary. It could be argued that some of the rarer animals and plants here are protected elsewhere, making a local sanctuary unnecessary. But if Mark could show that a unique kind was found here and nowhere else, it would greatly strengthen his chances. But how do you start looking for a new species of animal unknown to science? Mark has an unlikely source. He visits some friends that he considers to be the true field scientists, the people who've lived along the Aripuana River for generations. They have contact with all sorts of animals, from macaws to curassows, parrots to primates. Monkeys can end up as pets, and Mark knows that one family's pet might just turn out to be the world's scientific bombshell. He regularly visits the villages or caboclos. Doña Teresa invites him to see their latest addition. It's an adolescent marmoset. Doña Teresa took care of it after its mother was killed for the pot. The monkey belongs to a species that Mark described for the first time in 2000. He called it Mico manicorensis, after the town of Manicore on the Madeira River. The marmoset probably wouldn't live long in captivity, and Doña Teresa exchanges it for a bag of beans. Mark never pays for his finds. He doesn't want animals captured deliberately.
So that's exactly the way how I get all the monkeys. Because these people, local people, live on subsistence hunting. So they kill the mothers, and if they have dependent babies, they keep them like this one. And what is just what they put in the pot is scientific material for me.
Not only are the animals saved from a cramped and uncertain future, but they could help Mark get protection for animals so rare that they're completely unknown to the outside world. As Mark speeds away, the skies open over the village. Here, every year, up to 7 meters of water drench every square meter of forest floor in the floodplain forest. Once the soil is saturated, water seeps into the rivers. In some places, the water levels swell seasonally by over 10 meters, leaving nothing but the canopy stretching beyond the water's surface. Now flowers blossom, and fed by the nutrient-rich waters, fruits ripen. Creatures normally hidden in the depths of the forest and high up out of view descend to the floodplain to feed, making them easier to see. Among them, the spider monkey, one of the largest monkeys on the continent. Spider monkeys are easily distinguishable. They have the longest tails in the monkey family, which are used like a fifth limb to swing through the branches. Living in large troops, they split into smaller foraging parties during the day, spreading out to find the best feeding spots. The similar-looking woolly monkey eats a more varied diet of insects and small animals, but also descends to enjoy the rich fruit bounty. With food in abundance, there's plenty of time for play. Above water, any creature would have trouble making their way through the tangle of branches, but beneath the surface, it's a different story. Released from the cramped confines of the river, fish disperse between the submerged tree trunks. Animals that usually travel by foot are forced to swim. Sloths usually crawl from tree to tree. Now, though, they must paddle. Moving at their own pace, they're surprisingly good swimmers, but that's about as energetic as a sloth ever gets. Other strange forms swim by, giants lurking in the murky water. According to legend, when sailors of old glimpsed these creatures at sea, they mistook them for mermaids. The resemblance is not very striking. These are Amazonian manatees or sea cows, one of a few species called sirenians. They look like whales, but are in fact closely related to the elephant. Meanwhile, back on board the Calibeya, the little marmoset has settled in well and become a much-loved member of the crew. Beady-eyed, he spots a stowaway, a praying mantis, a tasty snack for the liveaboard pest control. Mark enjoys his new companion, but knows their time together is limited. Mark always takes the time to catch up with his neighbors and makes regular house calls to consult these local zoologists. Mark hears many remarkable stories from his friends. Who knows what creatures they will find? Ephraim tells of a large creature living in the jungle surrounding their village. Could this be a species unknown to science? At first, it doesn't sound all that remarkable. A tapir. According to the science books, just one species of tapir lives here, the South American tapir. Textbooks say 4 species of tapir live in the jungles of South America and Asia, the last members of an ancient family of animals related to horses and rhinos. The South American Brazilian tapir is the heaviest land mammal on the continent, weighing around 250 kilos. Tapirs all have the prehensile trunk, but the South American can be identified by the distinctive white ear tips and pale feet. But the animal Ephraim describes is half the size and jet black all over. If this were to turn out to be a new species, it would be electrifying. This may be the only place where the dark tapir lives, and without the knowledge of studies, it could be on the brink of extinction. It's vital to find out more, and that is Mark's mission in life. But the locals haven't finished yet. Peccaries look like pigs, but are more closely related to hippos. Science describes 2 species in the Amazon, the widespread collared peccary and the much larger and noisier white-lipped peccary. This species has a more limited range and moves through the forest in noisy groups of 100 animals or more. That's not what the locals see on their hunts. They describe 4 peccaries, including another white-lipped species that is redder in color and has white feet, and another kind they call Caetitumundi, the giant peccary. Unlike other peccary species living in herds, the much larger Caetitumundi is only seen in small family groups. They recall hunts for this larger prey. The world of museums, biology and scientific journals means little to these men. They just want to make sure their children have enough to eat. They sometimes hunt the giant peccary. Like other members of its family, it aggressively defends itself, but an animal this size provides a lot of meat. No white collar, no white lip. Their dinner is a species completely unknown to science. As the days pass, the Calibeya takes Mark and his crew further into the forest. What new surprises lie in wait? The golden morning sun reveals little sandbanks, the first signs that the floodwaters are subsiding. Already, these fingers of land have attracted skimmers who loudly lay claim to the banks. One morning, Mark has some surprise visitors. The men have killed another peccary, but knew their dinner would be of interest to Mark. The meat has already gone to feed their families, but the men kept the skin and pinned it out to dry. Mark instantly notes the large size, the stiff black mane, and the absence of a white lip or white collar. This skin comes from an animal unknown to science, a giant peccary. As Mark sits with his monkey friend, he recalls a similar gift, and what may turn out to be the biggest discovery of his career.
I was extremely lucky when I came to this little village on the Aripuanã River to do my usual interviews. And then the people told me that they just had hunted a manatee in the creek here. And then I was asking them, how many types of manatee do you know? And they said 2. And then I noticed, I was aware that this was a new species.
Frankie describes the animal killed. It was tiny, not much more than a meter in length, black with a distinctive white heart shape on its chest. Could it really be possible that such an impressive creature has managed to go unnoticed for so long? How might the dwarf manatee compare to its larger cousins? The Amazonian manatee is a rotund animal growing close to 3 meters in length, with a broad paddle-shaped tail and a flexible whiskered muzzle. Its body is a uniform dark